Piccolo, stop standing there like a cucumber in a body cast and help me, you absolute spoon. This may surprise you, but I love anime. I love manga, I love video games. All throughout my life, these things have been true, so when I'm not caressing my Toru body pillow or chewing on tinfoil, I'm probably consuming one of those types of media. One of my fondest series, like most of the world, has been the Dragon Ball franchise. Some of my earliest memories are of watching the English dub of the Frieza saga on Toonami after getting home from preschool, and please don't do the math on that statement. Just like most other people who've fallen in love with Akira Toriyama's masterpiece, I've played a lot of the games that the properties spawned. Some of these are top tier games that I have nothing but good memories of and have almost nothing but good things to say about, thanks to the power of rose-tinted glasses. There is one game that I never played till now that I remember being everywhere as a kid. Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy Advance. I was always curious about it, but for some reason I just never ended up with a copy as a kid. Well, I finally played it, and I have some thoughts to share. First though, a massive thanks to my Patreon people and everyone here on YouTube helping my channel thrive. You can support on Patreon for just $2 a month, and I have a Discord where we say nice things to each other and share nonsense. Links to both are in the description. We start up and look at this gloriously crunchy opening. Clips of the anime montaged together with the finest compression 2002 had to offer and some decently fitting music. Then the title screen pops up and no title, no stylized art, just this background with PNGs of the DBZ logo and Goku slapped on it. Not the best first impression, but I remain hopeful. The menu noises are Scouter and Capsule Corp noises, which is something almost all DBZ games do, but I still appreciate it. We press start, and after a very, very brief and vague summary of the story, we're put on Roshi's Island and we just control Goku now. No other setup, no idea what's happening if you didn't watch the anime or read the manga. After walking around, getting a feel for the controls, and talking to people, we are greeted with this amazing character portrait of Master Roshi, and he tasks us with recollecting his adult magazines, which he apparently lost, even though they're all within 50 feet of him. With that done, we get Raditz very abruptly coming in, talking smack, and dumping the info that Goku is actually an alien called a Saiyan. He abducts Gohan and takes off. Piccolo comes in, and if you had no knowledge of the series, you'd be very confused about why everyone seems to not like Scary Pickle Man. He suggests a team up against the more powerful mutual enemy, and like that, we're off on Goku's flying Nimbus. This screen is surreal. It's really weird to see Goku on the Nimbus again. I almost forgot that it existed. That screen fades, and now I'm in front of Goku's house. And I figure out very early that there is no tutorial. I also have no map and no clear direction, so we are doing this old school. I spend my time wishing there was a run button as we wander around Goku's forest home searching for plot. After some exploration, we find some crabs that Gohan evidently overfed to the point of mutation, and combat ensues. Dragon Ball as a whole has always been famous for its completely over-the-top, high-tension, engaging fights, so what does combat look like here? If you thought, wow, that looked tedious, then you are correct, it was. Hit detection is wildly inaccurate, positioning correctly is near impossible, and there must be some behind the scenes math going on because sometimes I seem to hit or get hit for massive damage and others barely any. For now, this is combat. Use one punch like I'm Saitama, occasionally use a little ki blast that looks like a Hadouken got left in a washing machine, and running away is a vital part of combat. Punch some wolves and more crabs and gain some levels, which I will praise, it does feel good when you level up. It feels like I genuinely do noticeably more damage. There is also an apparent snake infestation, and yeah, they are everywhere. They inflict some damage if stepped on, but you can just avoid them or give them a little hadoinky, no problem there. Again, no map, no objective, so keep exploring while listening to the music, and the music sounds roughly like every generic RPG on the GBA. It's not bad or anything, just nothing special. Also worth mentioning, the menus are very bare bones, calling back to RPGs from a full console generation prior. Menu presentation is extremely important in an RPG, even an action RPG, so that's a bit disappointing. After messing around for a while, I accidentally blast a squirrel and spend the next 5 minutes crying about it IRL. I make my way towards the next area, and visually, Legacy of Goku is pretty nice, especially for an early GBA title. It's a very well-aged style style of soft sprite art. I talked to what I think is a pterodactyl, but I could be wrong since I'm no podiatrist. They give us a side quest in the form of recovering their egg, but for the scope of this video, I'm not going to be seeking out side quests, though I will complete any that I stumble into naturally. I pick up a stone that I can't figure out the purpose of, so I open the inventory to figure it out, and there are no item descriptions whatsoever. Okay, so no map, bare menus, no descriptions or explanation of controls or mechanics. What a throwback. Back in the days of old, a lot of, if not most games required you have and fully read the manual to know what the hell you're doing. I never figure out what those stones are for either. Rocks in tow, I get back to the core of the early game, awkwardly punching wolves in the face and exploring. This is roughly where flight is introduced as a mechanic in an odd and pointless design choice. Flight is a limited resource that drains very fast, depleting with every tile you move. It can be very unclear what you can and can't fly over or across, and it's pointless having it as a depletable resource because there's flight recovery items everywhere. If it's a puzzle requiring flight, there's respawning flight items near it. Why do this? It doesn't really take much away from the game, I'm just genuinely curious. So after getting a bit too cocky, I die very tragically, and when I saw this game over screen the first time, I genuinely laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. So, another point, this game is hard, really hard. I don't mean in the sense that it's an intentionally difficult and challenging game, more in the sense that its tedious combat is combined with the fact that Goku is made of very soggy tissue paper and results in a very frustrating experience. We press on, and I very much enjoy Goku's idle animation. I love tiny stuff like this. Thankfully, you can save whenever and wherever, and I urge you to do it often. Save so very often. More leveling and exploration down, I found and talked to Tien and Chaozu and gained XP for it, flew across a little stream, and started to fight the first major enemy. Behold a dinosaur, and behold the epic struggle that unfolded. So as you can see, for right now, combat with major enemies is run or fly away, get in 1 or 2 charged ki blasts, use healing items as necessary, and repeat this process for a mind-numbing amount of time. So far, I am disappointed, but it's just the first level, so let's remain hopeful and fair here. About 5 minutes later, and the dino is down like the sickness, and we are moving on. I find this little collection of houses and explore a bit. I fly here and there, walk up some stairs, and find a cat. Now I have a cat and no idea where to bring it. Time to talk to people to find out about the cat. These people tell me their daughter is missing, and I smell another objective. I do find her and realize I can't have more than one thing following me, so until I find where this cat goes, I just have to leave this child here to fend for herself. Here's a nice little detail I found, by the way. In this house, there's a poster of Mr. Satan on the wall. Despite him not being known to Goku and friends at this point in the story, I like that he's still known to other people. It makes it feel like he was always around and a known figure, just not to our DBZ friends. Some more exploring, and I talked to Yamcha and Puar, gaining more experience for it, and I finally realized there was this path I completely ignored earlier. Past me is once again my worst enemy. We return the cat to this old man who has a massive skeleton embedded in his home and leave to help the child we left unattended on a cliff. With her home and a toy boat rescued for this boy, we head back to Old Man Bonewalls, and for some reason he teaches us solar flare. That's not how Goku learned that, but yeah, okay. It was also around this time that I realized I had been missing all these health restoring herbs because it is very unclear what you can pick up and what's decorative. So I had just been walking by all of them. Right behind his house, we find Piccolo staring at Gohan, who is about 15 feet away, while Raditz paces aimlessly about 20 feet away. Time to save our son. Right, try that again. Time to save our son. So Solar Flare is useless since I could only get it to stun Raditz for half a second at most, which isn't even enough time to run away. And I realize that melee combat is my enemy here. After about 5 minutes of using herbs and the trusty runaway and ki blast strat, Raditz finally goes down and Piccolo uses a special beam cannon to give Goku and Raditz some new holes. I genuinely almost started crying here while reading Goku's Goodbye to Gohan. I forgot how emotional early DBZ could actually be. Smash cut right to King Yema's desk, talk to him and he tells you not to cause any trouble like your brother. A quick word with Kami has him telling us that 2 more Saiyan warriors are on the way and that Goku needs to go to the end of Snake Way to train with King Kai in preparation. Slowly walking along Snake Way, you take damage if you get too close to the edge, and Goku's injury noises sound like he's passing a kidney stone. Then Demon Mommy here tries to eat me, and Goku loses his footing and falls off Snake Way and down into HFIL, the home for infinite losers. These Angie spirits that look like they've been hitting the pendulum wander around, and they will damage you if you come into contact with them. They also are worth some decent XP, so it's on site with them now. Find this gym, listen to Goku muse about buns of iron, talk to some demons, and I am profoundly unsure what I need to be doing. I admit this could very well be a result of my own stupidity, but I wander the entire area over and over for about 45 minutes. By this point, I've killed every enemy here, and they do not respawn in this level. I've also flown all over every surface possible, and I think I'm starting to understand flight. I'm not finding my objective though, so a quick Google later, and it turns out that design is actually important. So what I meant to do is help the demon by the gym so they can tell their friend to show us back to Snake Way. I do this by finding and returning 3 good spirits to him, but they look the same as the bad ones. There is only very slight visual distinction here for these good spirits, and so far, we've been taught that getting close to something that looks like this causes us pain. Bad design choice. The spirits get returned to Office Demon, and we get back to Snake Way. We start at the very beginning of Snake Way again, but now we have flight recovery items everywhere, so we get the satisfaction of saying screw this and flying ourselves right to the end. I actually appreciate this choice, letting us get that first taste of how long this would take on foot, and then returning us here with the means to just give it a big ol' middle finger. On King Kai's planet now, and our training is to catch Bubbles the monkey and then Gregory the cricket. It's a bit frustrating at first, but I corner that damn dirty ape and give him the old Saiyan slammer. Gregory gets smushed with this comically large mallet, and King Kai teaches us that. I can excuse the solar flare, but excuse me? Moving on. We're back in the world of the living on Kami's tower. After catching up with Master Korin and Mr. Popo, we fly down to the surface. Some things real quick. The Kamehameha is tiny, it's orange, and it's somewhat short-ranged. What? The sound clip that plays when it's fully charged is nice though. I appreciate that. We walk the icy wilderness, fry some dinos, boil some wolves, and find yet another child on a cliff. Why is this a regular problem? Goku escorts Cliff Child back to Cliff Parent, we stop this bank robbery, and I think I may be underleveled because the normal robbers tear me up a few times. Makes sense as I've not been grinding at all. The police do nothing and watch a vigilante dispense actual justice, as is tradition, and we move south. Goku saunters his way through this incredibly not secure military base into the wasteland, and we find Vegeta and Nappa, fresh off of killing most of the Z-Fighters. This game really glosses over so much important stuff. This is when I realize how I should have been using the solar flare. Use it on the enemy at desired distance, charge Kamehameha, or apply fist once or twice, get distance, and repeat. I have to admit that as tedious as that sounds, I started to somewhat enjoy combat here. It's very cat and mouse. It's slow and strategic and admittedly tense since Goku is by no means invincible in this game. Big bald auto parts goes down and we cook vegetable thoroughly. Again, a huge amount of plot and story is condensed into a few text boxes. Time for Planet Namek, where we suddenly find ourselves. This is a breakneck pace story-wise, Jesus. Namek is crawling with Frieza soldiers, and I take advantage of my new understanding of combat to gain some XP. It's also around this point that I realized that saving saves your items, levels, and XP, but not everything else. So when I restart a save, I'm at the beginning of the area I saved in with all my health returned. Save abuse will be present from now on. Our first real order of business is to find 3 saplings for this dying Namekian. I'm not really sure why, but here we are. I would have a lot more to say if there were more to talk about here, but it's really the same as before. We fly and walk around, enjoy some more combat, find the things and bring them back. Even a lot of the enemies are the same, with Earth dinosaurs making a return here. Now Goku heads north to this ancient Namekian temple. Apparently, I need 3 artifacts to progress, which I know because I looked it up. 2 of 3 are outside the temple, and I spend a good hour or so just grinding like crazy. I genuinely had stopped remembering to write down notes by this point because I was starting to enjoy myself so much. After power leveling, I feel pretty damn powerful and can take most things out in 1 to 2 Kamehamehas. I entered the temple for the final artifact, sussing out fake walls and hidden passages with the guidance of the big fingers. And why is the green artifact not in this room? It's supposed to be here, so I try everything from reloading, exiting the area, resetting my entire system. But nothing works. And then I realized, after finding an altar and placing 2 of the artifacts, that I already had gotten the green one and forgot about it. I then realized I'm missing the blue one, not the green one. The blue one was outside, being sat on by a dinosaur, but when I was there earlier, I got distracted by the dinosaur and never picked it up. Feeling rather stupid, I head back up the cliff, kill the dinosaur, and make my way back once again to the altar. Getting to which requires going through this warp pad puzzle and a bit of a maze traversal. It's not bad, but a weird mechanic to introduce this late in the game. So with the path open, we make it out of the temple to find Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta staring off into the distance at the Ginyu Force. Though with how weak they are, they might as well be called the Ginyu Farce. It's entirely a forgettable fight, but it does make you feel as powerful as Goku appeared when he arrived and wrecked the Ginyu Force in the anime. So well done, game. I'm really enjoying myself by this point. I leveled hard, and I was rewarded for it in a way that also makes sense for the story. I do find it funny, though, that Guldo isn't even mentioned. Poor, stinky Guldo. Another screenshot from the anime comes on screen, and when it fades, Goku is now near Frieza's ship. This area is small, and from what I can gather is more for gathering items and grinding out XP. Heading east, we reach Frieza's ship and head inside, where our friends tell us to please, for the love of God, take a break. I appreciate that this room has an opening that Goku remarks about, mentioning that he could fly out and train more on Frieza's soldiers if he didn't feel ready. I appreciate this soft lock prevention in an era of games where that wasn't always standard. I am ready. Let's get moist in the pod and head to the final fight of the game. Arriving at the battlefield has King Kai tell us that you should subscribe. Wait, no. He tells us that the planet is unstable and we need to finish things fast. I know I shouldn't be bothered by this at this point, but that's not how things happened. Frieza greets us in his base form, and we fight through each of his forms in order, even though, again, not what happened. Krillin gets exploded, Goku explodes in anger in a very underwhelming scene, and we make Frieza explode using the same solar flare and attack combo that's been carrying us through every fight. Frieza is defeated, and the credits roll before returning us back to the title screen. There is no post-game. I don't know what I expected for post-game, but I'm still sad it's not here. So that was Legacy of Goku. I want to be honest, I went in assuming I'd have a bunch of negative things to say and jokes to make at the game's expense. I was wrong though. While it's certainly nothing special now, for the time this was probably incredible to play. Astounding that I never did, considering how obsessed with DBZ I was around that time. It has a lot of mechanics that aren't great, and a lot of systems that make it painfully dated and somewhat frustrating to play, but the foundation is actually pretty solid. I can understand why scores for this game tend to hover in the middle. This wasn't mind-blowing by any means, but I did have fun playing through it. If I had done more side quests, I imagine it might have changed my thoughts, but as of now, I like this. It is an absolutely okay game that you might enjoy if you like DBZ or just Game Boy Advance games in general. Thank you all for watching. Again, my eternal thanks to my Patreon supporters and all of you that watched to the end of this video. Until next time, I love you all.